Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. Surprisingly, it's still winter outside, and that means I need to get back to work on finishing the snow pusher for my mini skid. Now I have actually cheated and done a little bit of work since the end of the last video. I added these two pieces of angle, stitched together and bolted on to make the bracket to hold the back drag blade. I've also haven't finished welding on the back side of the bottom, a stiffening angle to help stiffen the lower edge. And across the top, I've done similar with a small piece of angle to add a top flap, like a rubber flap, so that the snow rolls back this way. So a little bit farther ahead than I was before. Let's see if we can wrap it up today to put this onto there. Now, here's a quick recap of what I've done since the last video. And a whole bunch more of that. Are the welds all pretty? No. But do they all need to be? No. I'm pretty sure it's gonna hold together. And before I go any further, I need to clean up the bottom edge with a quick flap disc grind to smooth it all out. Now that the main structure is all welded together, I'm gonna add a little bit more strength to the bottom sides, because this is where, other than the back, which is pushing a straight on load, the sides are gonna be wanting to spread out if I get too much weight in here. Do I think it needs it? Probably not, but it's easy to take a section of pipe, weld it in on an angle so that this cannot move that way and spread apart. To get my bottom angle, I'm just going to put a piece of scrap down in front of it, and I'm going to try to just put a mark right there like that. Should be able to copy that on the saw, and from there we'll drop it back in place to get the top angle. Now I should be able to do a similar kind of thing. I'll be in the middle of this weld here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can weld up a little bit of a gap. We're gonna come down. I've got to mark 6 inches up from the bottom here. There's gonna be a little bit of a trick on this one, because if I just mark this vertical line, obviously the pipe's gonna be too long. So what I need to do is come horizontally across from here so that this is the top. I don't know if that's a little bit hard to see. Basically, I'm making this the top and that the angle, and if I cut that angle out here, we should be somewhere close. Now I do have room for this to move in and out here. I don't have to hit this exact spot, so we can adjust a little bit from there. Basically, I want this line here to end up here at this point, so that this point here touches the side. All right, so a white line on a galvanized pipe is not the easiest thing to see. I've retraced it in black and cut it, and that's the result. Now, that's not an angle that I can cut on my saw, so I use my grinder with a zip disc. And of course, there's 2 sides to this plow, so I've made 2 of them. It's also worth noting that this is galvanized pipe, so I've also used my grinder to take the galvanizing off the ends to reduce the fumes coming off it when I weld it, but I'll also be wearing my respirator. I just said I'd be wearing my respirator, and then I almost forgot to wear my respirator. Let's try that again.
The only spot I got left is the most difficult, and that's the underside of the top on both that side and this side. This is going to be difficult. My initial thought was actually to stand it on its front and weld the top or the back side, but I think what I'm going to do is do it in 2 halves. With it sitting like this, I'll weld this part and that part, and then I'll flip it over and do the same from the other side.
The last bit of cutting and welding that I need to do on this is to miter the front corners up. So what I'm talking about is here, we're gonna take this part of what will become the ski and bend it up. That means I gotta cut a triangle out of here. And I see a lot of people doing about a 45-degree angle for maybe 3 or 4 inches back. I think that's more than what I need. I don't think I have any bumps anywhere near that big in my driveway. So I'm gonna try this and we'll see what happens. We can always cut it apart later and make it bigger.
Hey, if you're enjoying this content and want to help support the creation of it, you can scan that QR code with your phone to help me keep up with the cost of things like high-quality microphones, lights, and tripods, all of which seem to have a short lifespan around me. Anything is appreciated. Thanks. You may have noticed that I'm welding these corners downhand or downhill. Since these corners are not structural, this gives a clean, quick, and watertight weld.
Might be starting to look like something. So we've now got rounded off front corners, support bars, and I think it's down to the key piece of putting this whole thing to work, the attachment between this and the machine. Now what might seem the most logical is that I take this mounting plate, put it on here, and weld all the way around it. But I don't think I've ever been one to do things the logical way, so we're gonna do something completely different. Now, to keep things in place while I'm doing the different, I am gonna put a tack in the corners to make sure that everything stays in the right place, centered and square. Those will be nice and easy to get at, to cut when I'm done everything else. These are leaf spring shackles for trailers, and I've drilled them out using my step bit to fit these quick pins.
Step bits are a great way of sizing up existing holes, especially when you get up to larger holes. If you don't have these, you should get some.
Now I can make a hinge down here that'll allow this whole thing to pivot. And so after cutting them all in half, I can start to weld them back together. And here's where I'm gonna do something yet again a little different. I've tacked these two in place, but before I cut the tacks for the plate, I'm actually gonna repeat the same thing on the top side. And with all these tacked in place, now I can pull the pins, cut the tacks, pull this off, and weld everything up.
I'm welding all of this together with my 110 volt MIG welder running 023 wire and an argon CO2 mixed gas. My helmet is an auto darkening helmet, which makes things so much easier as you don't have to lift it between each weld, and these days they're incredibly inexpensive.
That was a lot of welding all at once. I hope everything still fits. And after a bunch more grinding, die grinding, smoothing out, grinding, and more grinding, I can show you what we're trying to do. The idea here is clearly the pins go through and make a hinge, and that allows this to pivot this way. Alternately, I can put the pins through the top and allow it to pivot this way. And if I have all 4 pins in, clearly it can't pivot at all. And some of you are probably thinking, that's pretty pointless because I have a hydraulic tilt on the mini skid. And you're right, this is not intended as a controlled tilt, but if I have the pins in the top and I have a flexible piece back here, which would actually make it sit like this, I can have it so that the whole plow can pivot up and down and float as it goes down the uneven road. Now, this is not something I'm building in right now. This is something I have a plan for. Right now, I'm gonna run with 4 pins and see what happens. The piece that I build to go in there will be flexible so that I just have 2 pins on the bottom or 2 pins on the top, and this flexible piece will have a little bit of give to let it float. I've still got to build the runners, I've still got to build the cutting edge for the bottom blade and the back drag blade at the top, but let's see what it looks like on the machine.
Let's lock in the latches and make sure that it's secure so we can try tipping it over. Looks good so far, and looks like the back drag position is going to work as well.
Well, I ran myself completely out of time yesterday, but let's see if I can get the plastic runners and cutting edges sorted out today. So the only thing I have left to do is paint it. I just so happen to have this leftover piece of an extra large cutting board that I used to build the electrical panel inside the Fuso. So by cutting it in half, again, it just so happens to be that this is exactly the width of the bottom of the skis. Funny how things work out like that sometimes. I have no idea how durable these will be and how long they'll last, but most of the time they should be sliding over top of snow or ice, so it shouldn't be too bad. Now the first thing I do after cutting this plastic is I always take my deburring tool and just trim the corner off. It's such an easy thing to do, especially with plastic like this. And it gives it a way nicer finish. Takes the corner off that, even though it's plastic, when it's cold, it doesn't feel nice on your hands. It takes 2 seconds to do this, and it just gives you such a better finish. If you don't have one of these, take a look in the video description. I'll leave a link there. Next, I've taken the two pieces and clamped them together. This way I can drill one set of holes, and both pieces of plastic will have the same hole pattern.
Drilling plastic is so much easier than drilling steel.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know if my next step here is actually going to work. What I need to do is bend this plastic to match this radius so that I can attach the rest of the ski. My idea here is I'm going to drill the first hole. I'm actually going to install a Riv-nut here. I'll bolt this down after I've heated this, and then I'll see if I can form it to go around that corner. Now, if you're asking, what the heck is a Riv-nut? This is a Riv-nut. It's like a rivet, but also like a nut. So it's got threads on the inside. You put it into the hole like you would a rivet, and then you compress it, and it stays in place and gives you a threaded insert. If you don't have the tools to do this, I highly recommend grabbing one of these Next-Tack rivet guns. I'll put a link to Amazon in there. It's really easy. You thread it in, you squeeze the handle, and you have a threaded insert. It does take quite a bit of force to put these in, so using like a pop rivet style, you quite often won't have enough squeeze to be able to properly compress these. But that's how easy it is. That is now a threaded hole.
I'm taking a wild guess here that I'll be able to soften this material without melting it with my butane torch. Fingers crossed, because I don't have a plan B.
Pretty happy with how that worked. That bent exactly how I wanted it to, and it's got a decent job of actually conforming to the shape. So now I'll drill the rest of the holes. I'm drilling these to fit a 1/4-20 screw, and I'll be countersinking that and putting a flathead screw in there after. But for this, it's easier to grab onto to get it in there if I used a pan head. So now, like I said, I'll drill the rest of those holes and fit the rest of the Riv-nuts in there, and then I can countersink these and bolt it down. Oh, and trim the excess off the back.
Now I can drill and install the Riv-nuts and put in the countersunk screws to install the plastic skis.
I just got to do the same thing on the other side. Well, that should help the skis slide better. Now I can do the cutting edge. I'm going to do the same concept for the cutting edge, but I have a different piece of material. That is a piece of 1/2-inch puckboard or starboard, and as you can see, it's not long enough to go the full width. So I'm going to have to do the same thing, cut it in half, and make it out of 2 pieces. Not really ideal to have a split in the middle, but this is what I have, and it's what I'm going to work with, and because it's going to be bolt-on, I can always replace it later. And of course, I got to run my deburring tool over the edge, but I just want to see if I can get you a close-up. I don't know if it'll focus here, but here's the difference between the deburred edge and the non-deburred edge. And for the tiny, tiny amount of time that it takes to do that, it gives it so much of a better finish.
It might not seem that important for something that's going to be dragging along the ground, but I really like what you can do with this little tool. I've now marked along this edge where my next riv nuts are going to go. I've center punched those crosshairs, so now I'm going to drill those out and put a riv nut in each one of those. Now before I drill these holes out to the next size up for the riv nut, I'm actually going to use these as the template to drill the holes in the plastic that I'm using for the cutting edge. Probably is worth noting before I drill these that I have put a straight edge across this edge to make sure that it's a straight edge. I'm going to start with the middle and then the outside. I might throw a couple bolts in and then do the middles. Well, I've run into my first little problem. It is a little problem. I don't have enough hardware that's long enough to attach these, but I do have 4, so I can put half of them in and put them in place, and we'll see what it looks like.
Now I do still have to add the back drag blade, which will be made the same way as I did the skis and the cutting edge, and I have another cutting board to cut up to make it. But for now, since we're mostly done, and there's a very small amount of fresh snow outside, let's give it a test run. There might not be a lot of snow, but it's definitely scraping it right down to the base layer. The pure volume of snow that this captures is going to be a game changer. Yep, I think I can make this work.
A little bit hard to see what's happening. Might have to install like a parabolic mirror on the front or something so I can see what the tip angle is and if the fronts of the skis are touching. But other than paint, that is as far as I'm gonna get for a while, so I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, and if you're watching this video in the first 7 days of it coming out, there's a new button down there, it's called Hype. Let's hit it and see what happens. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.